A washed-up bowling champion mentors an Amish prodigy in the hopes of winning a tournament. Listen as we discuss the smell of 1970s ashtrays, why Randy Quaid fled to Canada, and a disappointingly evergreen political joke. Then we see if Kingpin stands the test of time.
Test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today? James says gladiator with a glove, and Alan says as a father blah blah. It's the test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today? Test of time, James and Alan have their say. Do the movies you love still hold up today?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Test of Time. My name is Alan Noah, and joining me, as always, is you, James Brief.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about Kingpin today. One of those fun road trip movies, sort of a sports movie, and a Farrelly Brothers movie.
And a bowling movie. I guess it's our second bowling movie after The Big Lebowski, which isn't really a bowling movie, but is kind of bowling focused.
Yeah, that movie has bowling. This is a bowling movie.
That is fair. I was never really all that good at bowling. I don't mind it. It's fun, I guess, but I'm not that into it. Are you into bowling?
You and I went to Cornell University, and I actually wound up taking bowling as a PE course. It was amazing for two reasons. One, the first day, the bowling coach for the Cornell team, he goes, I have one rule. You have to show up. I'm not saying you have to bowl every time. Because he said, the sport of bowling is not just about rolling a ball down the lane. It's about sitting and having some snacks with your friends. I'm totally serious. This is what he said. He was talking about the camaraderie about bowling is way more than the man or woman actually, rolling the ball down to the pins. And the other thing that I loved about that class is that I actually learned how to bowl. It's kind of a fascinating sport when you actually learn how to do it other than just throwing a ball down the lane. So that's my bowling experience. I've always kind of had an appreciation for it.
This is going to sound weird, but I tend to like the gritty, dingy bowling alleys more than the really fancy, polished ones where they have kind of a nightclub kind of vibe and big screen TVs where you can watch all the cool sporting events and an arcade where you can play games and get tickets and trade them in for prizes. I feel like half of the bowling alleys on Long Island are that, and the other half are old, dingy, dirty places that still kind of smell like cigarettes and stale beer. And it's gross, but I kind of feel like that's the real bowling experience.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want it to smell like 1970s ashtrays, but there is a charm to that a little bit. And the one thing I don't like about bowling, which is what this movie's about, is professional bowling, because everyone professional kind of bowls within 15 points. They're all like 280 to 290 something. It's all just that one thing on frame 7 if they get a 9 instead of a strike. And it completely changes the game. So professionally, I've never found it interesting to watch, but playing it's a blast.
Yeah. Let's get into Kingpin. So this movie's about Roy Munson, a once promising professional bowler whose career is destroyed after he loses his bowling hand after a bad hustle. Years later, Roy is washed up, broke, and desperate until he discovers Ishmael Borg, a sheltered Amish man with extraordinary natural bowling talent. Hoping to revive his own fortunes, Roy convinces Ishmael to leave his Pennsylvania community and travel with him to Reno for a $1 million bowling tournament. Along the way, they're joined by the street-smart Claudia, who helps them hustle people for road trip money. In Reno, they cross paths with Roy's arrogant old rival, Ernie McCracken. Ishmael breaks his hand, and Roy faces Ernie in the finals. Roy loses, but finds something just as valuable, an endorsement deal with Trojan condoms. Okay, so when this movie came out 30 years ago in 96, how did it do at the box office?
It did not do well, and apparently this kind of crushed the Farrelly brothers until There's Something About Mary. The Farrelly brothers expressed disappointment in this film, its box office performance, and they attribute it possibly correctly to its release. It was released on July 26, 1996, in the middle of the very popular Atlanta Olympics. and it had a $25 million budget. It opened at number 5 with $5.5 million on its way to $29 million. Apparently did very, very well on home video. It was a big rental, and that probably secured them financing for their follow-up films. But it wasn't a major flop, but this was one of those came and went films.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater. I have the DVD. I think I mentioned it last week when we were at the end of the episode. I'm pretty sure I watched this a handful of times in college. And Bill Murray is not in this movie a ton, but when he is in it, he steals every scene. It's not shocking in the beginning that he's the one who puts sugar in Roy's gas tank. It's kind of a reveal when Roy sees the sugar in his car. He's like, hey, what's with the sugar? And he's like, oh, that's for my morning coffee. No, clearly he is a terrible guy. But that scene in the diner after Roy beats Ernie is telling the waitress that she needs to clean off her perfume before she comes back to the table. He tells Roy that he needs to eat outside because he's just so disgusted by the way he eats. Every single thing he says is so damn funny.
Most of the lines Bill Murray had were apparently ad-libbed. He saw the script, got the general gist of what he's supposed to do for the plot, and then kind of made it up. And the Farrelly brothers apparently were very thankful because they said most of his stuff was way better than what was written.
That's why you hire Bill Murray for your comedy. That's what he's going to do.
Exactly. And my favorite line that he does, which is so funny, there's one part where he turns backwards and there's a booth of women in the background. Then he goes, hey. And one woman waves and goes, hi. And he goes, no, not you. And he's talking to the other woman. It was so funny. And apparently he had to apologize to that woman after the take because that's so mean. He is such an asshole in this film.
He orders Tanqueray and tabs and keep them coming because he's got a long drive ahead of him. Yeah. I mean, gin and cola? That sounds disgusting. Those two things do not mix together. But then they do a hustle, and Roy is hesitant. He's not so sure about doing it, but, he goes along with it because he needs the money, because Ernie put the sugar in the gas tank, and he ends up losing his hand. That's a really fucking dark thing to happen to this character in this very silly, lighthearted movie. Whatever, it's fine. They play off the prosthetic rubber hand for laughs throughout the movie. It is kind of funny that this guy's been an amputee for 17 years, and he is so bad at using his hook hand. He keeps breaking the alarm clock and the rearview mirror and everything that he touches. You would think if he's been using that prosthetic for a while, he'd be better at it.
You'd think, but also he's a complete drunk, and
sure,
his life completely stalled in 1979 or whenever that was. He has not improved himself. He's barely made any money to pay his rent. In some ways, it kind of fits the character. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? You've had 20 years almost to work on this, and you still know better than you were. So it's a nice characterization, honestly.
Yeah. And the thing with the landlady, he can't pay her rent, so he stages a mugging, and he accidentally throws real hot coffee in the guy's face, that it wasn't really that hot, and it's his buddy, but then she comes in, and then he throws the real, actual scalding coffee in his face. The landlady catches him, and so they have to have sex together. You recognize that actress, right?
No, I didn't.
She's Magda from There's Something About Mary.
Oh, who's the older roommate of Cameron Diaz or the next door neighbor or something?
Neighbor, landlady. Is she the landlady
She's
too?
Like the overly tanned lady, right?
Yes. The actress's name is Lynn Shay, and I think she had a small role in Dumb and Dumber as well, but then they cast her in this and they thought she was so damn funny that they gave her a bigger role in There's Something About Mary. Did you see the post-credit scene when she does the cunnilingus V tongue thing?
I did see the post-credit scene.
It's worth it to fast forward to the very end of the credits to just see her doing 30 seconds of that. Then they yell cut and she cracks up and they all crack up. It's very, very funny.
What I read about her was that she only got the audition because she's related to someone at the studio.
Yeah.
And she actually showed up for the audition dressed in character, almost like disgusting and and dirty. And the Farrelly brothers apparently thought that a homeless person had like walked into the auditions, and they were like very awkward until they realized that's who it was. And then they said they didn't read anyone else. Like they gave her the part.
Right. Well, let's talk about the character of Ishmael, played by Randy Quaid. It is unfortunately a little hard for me to see Randy Quaid and not think about him as a person and like all of the crazy shit that he and his wife have done, like sneaking to Canada, trying to get Canadian asylum because they were living in a guest house and they didn't pay money for it. It's really fucking bizarre.
It is. And, I honestly actually forgot that Randy Quaid was in this film, but I really like the way they handled the Amish in this movie. It could have been done for a lot cheaper laughs. And
yes.
I was surprised at how I actually understood their motivation and why they were not into him going off. And, the Amish were not made fun of for being non-electrical and all that stuff.
I think you're right. The Amish could be the butt of a lot of jokes, and it's really not. This movie came out in 96, which is the same year Weird Al released Amish Paradise, which is more making fun of Amish people. I always remember a joke he did when he was on MTV, and he said, if any Amish people watch this video and were offended, I would just like to say, hey, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be watching TV.
That's great.
I thought that was a good bit. But the jokes in the Amish community mainly come from Roy because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's pretending to be Amish, and he starts off with an Irish accent for literally no reason, and then he drops it.
Well, I think they kind of suspect that something's off with him because when he says, what the Bible says about not forgiving, the brother says, what does it say?
Right.
And he couldn't even quote love thy neighbor as thyself or just any generic quote. This guy does not know a single line from the Bible.
Right. When Roy is talking to Ishmael about something round with 3 holes and you put your fingers in it, and he's talking about the bowling ball, but he says, hey, you leave Miss Rebecca out of it. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I like it.
But a bum. And then Roy finds out that getting Munsoned, his last name, has become a phrase for blowing it, having so much potential, and then failing to live up to that potential. Because your name also has meaning. To James something means to
wildly succeed on something.
No. If you're just doing something so simple and it's so easy, and then you just totally blow it, and then you say, oh, I really James that. Did it bother you in this movie, the Munson thing? Or did you feel seen by that?
I did, because when I saw that, I was like, Al's going to mention Jamesing things. That's exactly what I thought. And congratulations, you did.
I'm very predictable sometimes. Is that what to Al something is? Oh, you Al'd it? You did exactly what I thought you were going to do? Maybe.
I love watching movies and thinking, yeah, Al hates this. Al loves this. Oh, I know what he's going to say about this. So I knew that you were going to do that. Or I thought you would, and you did not disappoint.
Well, there you go. It's about 45 minutes or so before we meet Claudia, the Vanessa Angel character. I feel like we mentioned this in our episode about Spies Like Us. I loved watching Weird Science, the USA show. I totally had a crush on Vanessa Angel. Super, super beautiful. Her role in this movie is to be hot, but, she also does care about the guys, and, she's the love interest, and it's not a particularly well-rounded character, although none of them really are. I mean, they're all kind of two-dimensional characters in this movie.
I didn't get much of her acting ability from Spies Like Us. She just literally has, I think, one line. But I think she did a very good job in this film.
Yeah, I thought it was a little surprising when the bad guy, her boyfriend, takes her into the other room and smacks her. I wasn't expecting that in this movie. There's a darkness of Roy losing his hand, but it's not played for a laugh that the shitty boyfriend hits her. She leaves because he hits her and says, I could put up with him, but I'm not going to put up with him hitting me. They treat that seriously.
It's a simple screenplay way to establish this guy sucks. They could have had different ways to make him a more complex character, but no, I think it's quickly, this guy's an asshole. He's a rich asshole with a bowling alley in his house, and yeah, that's what it is.
I don't really understand the part, though, where he loses the bet, and so he goes to pay Roy the $1,000 or whatever it is. And then for some reason, Roy takes out his stash of fake money and then puts it in his pocket along with the real money. And that's what he sees. And that's why he punches him and says, you were betting not with real money, but with fake money. And that is a huge insult. Well, not really. You lost anyway. So it would have been worse if he won the bet and then Roy had to pay him and then he couldn't. That's when you beat the shit out of him. I guess, like, okay, principle that he didn't actually have the money that he was betting with.
You're right. In this case, it's just, it shouldn't matter, but I think he's just mostly mad because he lost.
Yes, of course. I'm just saying I don't understand why he didn't see that the money was fake before.
Oh,
he would have
right.
either seen it before when Roy put the money down on the table or the other guy held it or something, or if they didn't do that, he wouldn't have seen it.
A smarter person would have said, let me see the money, as opposed to just holding up a pile, a wad of cash that has a 100 on the outside and assuming that's $1,000.
Sure. The scene where Roy and Claudia fight each other, I didn't think that was that funny. I get what they're going for. It's just supposed to be dumb slapstick.
Well, also that he's such a piece of shit that he's going to have like a fist fight with a woman.
Well, he says that he's done a lot of shitty things, but he's not going to hit a woman. But then she starts hitting him, and so he fights back. Like the sound effects when he's punching the boobs, boingy, boingy, boingy. I get it, but that didn't really make me laugh.
Didn't quite hit, I agree.
Yeah. Also, the Jefferson on ice thing in Reno, I get that it's supposed to be a random dated reference. Maybe just because I wasn't into the Jeffersons, I don't have a connection with that show. I didn't really think that was funny.
Yeah, it's a dated reference, and the Jeffersons were like in the late 70s, I think, maybe early 80s. So
maybe
for 1996, it's a perfectly fine reference, but it's certainly not something anyone would understand today. They'd probably think, if you didn't see it, you'd probably think Jefferson on Ice is Thomas Jefferson.
Maybe. There is other funny stuff in Reno. Chris Elliott is only in the movie fleetingly, but he is so damn funny. They do an Indecent Proposal reference, which of course is another movie that starred Woody Harrelson.
But you didn't need to know that, though. That's a reference that works without that.
Absolutely. There's a whole thing with the potato bar, that this casino has a bar where you can load up your baked potato with lots and lots of fixins. And then when the tournament starts, the announcer specifically calls out the potato bar. I thought that was really funny.
And it tracks for Vegas. I mean, Vegas is the kind of place you'll have the weirdest stores and oxygen bars, and like, it tracks for Vegas, or rather Reno.
I was going to say, yeah, Reno. You Jamesed it. Yeah, you actually Jamesed it. Did you do that on purpose just for me? Because if you did, as a gift, thank you.
Sure, Al, sure.
Great. Also, I legitimately laughed out loud when Roy tries to sign up for the bowling tournament, and the woman is like, well, you haven't paid your dues in 17 years, plus interest, plus penalties. That's going to come out to $38. Legit laughed out loud. I thought that was really, really damn funny.
That was good. And in a weird way, it seems realistic, honestly, back then.
Sure.
Today, they would make it, $70 a year. There's a scene I also love when Roy watches the television and he's able to see Ernie on TV doing kind of like a charity commercial, something called the Unified Fund. There's these mothers with their child, and he'll put his arm around the woman. He's very clearly like pinching her ass, and another one he pulls the woman's like elastic skirt and snaps it, and it's incredibly awkward.
It's funny, and the way he just taunts everybody. I think he does shake hands with one of the guys that he bowls against, and a lot of those guys were real professional bowlers. But there's one moment when Ernie tucks in the back of the shirt of the guy who he's competing against. It's not a mean thing to do, but it's just a little condescending and perfect. I also love the way his hair becomes more and more chaotic and insane as the bowling tournament goes on and the pressure goes up and he's getting sweatier and his hair is just flying in every direction. I love it.
Yeah, I think kind of both of them, Roy and Ernie, their hairs go a little nutty. It's great.
Yes. The announcers are talking about what a great guy Ernie is and how he'll make a great politician someday because, he's just so warm and caring when obviously he's a scumbag, which I think is a joke that has stood the test of time. Somebody who is pretty clearly a scumbag but can kind of present as nice and people will just be taken by him. That's still a thing in 2026.
I agree. And I kind of understand why this film wasn't as big a hit as it was later on VHS and DVD, because some of the jokes that you're bringing up here, like the subtle things you're not necessarily going to see on first viewing, like tucking the guy's pants in. There's a joke, I actually laughed. I thought it was funny. They're at some bowling alley and the guy is collecting the shoes. I think it's early on. And, bowling shoes are shared by everyone that goes. And this guy does a 1/10 of a second spray in each shoe. And just something like that I found funny. There's a lot of very small things in this film. So it's not like there's something about Mary and there's, this is just, here's the joke, you get it, and this is funny. It's the kind of thing that you probably pick up a lot of stuff on repeat viewing. And this is only my second time seeing it, so I'm sure if I saw it a few more times, I'd pick up even more. But I do like all these small little jokes.
I think that's fair. And I do think that some of the smaller jokes play better than some of the bigger jokes. The bit where Roy doesn't know how to take the horseshoes off, so he saws the horse's legs. I think that's supposed to be a big joke, and I thought that was kind of eye roll worthy. It's inconsistent with how the big jokes land or don't land throughout this movie. Most of the little jokes do hit, I think.
Oh, yeah.
In the big climactic final game between Roy and Ernie, typical sports movie rules are that our hero goes last and he gets the opportunity to come from behind. In this movie, it comes down to Ernie, the villain. He has to make 3 strikes in a row, and he does, and he wins, which is the inverse of how these scenes typically play. But then it all works out because he gets the endorsement deal from Trojan. Ha ha ha, they call him Rubber Man, so that makes sense. I did also laugh out loud when he says that as part of his Trojan endorsement deal, he has to speak at Vassar College orientation. It's just so goddamn random. I love that.
I know it is weird. I don't quite get that. I almost think today you'd think like one of these like party schools or something known for something else, or maybe USC, the Trojans.
Well, college orientation makes sense because college kids have sex and you want them to have safe sex. But yeah, why Vassar specifically? That's the extra random part.
There's 2 things that are different about your typical sports film. One, you're correct, and it happens occasionally, but he doesn't win. And there's absolutely no comeuppance for Ernie. He presumably walks away with $1 million, probably gets, a good-looking girl that night in Reno because that seems to be the character he is. And maybe the never-made sequel, that would have had Ernie get his comeuppance and lose in some way.
Well, there's implied comeuppance because Claudia's old boyfriend, Stanley, I think is his name, he shows up at the end. He threatens Roy and says, what's your relationship with Ernie? Because Claudia was calling Ernie over and over and over again when we were in the hotel room. And she goes off with Stanley to protect Roy and Ishmael. And she did date Ernie way back when. We learned that at the potato bar. But she says that she called him just to send Stanley after him. So maybe Stanley will beat him up. But to your point, that is an implied comeuppance. It is not a thing that we see on screen, which usually you would.
Right. I mean, I don't think the guy kills him. He still won $1 million. I think Ernie is fine. He might have a broken nose or a little worse than that. But I think he survives, and I think he's a jerk who finishes his life being a jerk, a somewhat successful jerk.
Yeah.
But does this film stand the test of time?
I don't know, man. I found myself laughing a decent amount, but I didn't think it was that funny. I wanted it to be funnier. This movie is in between Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary chronologically, but I think it's below both of them in terms of quality. Just in terms of laughs per minute, laughs, grand total, memorable scenes. Like, there's not a ton of jokes from this movie that have really stayed with me over the years, which is not true for Dumb and Dumber or There's Something About Mary. It's not bad. It's not a terrible comedy. I laughed many times. I just do feel like it's not as good as I want it to be. It's weird because I don't think these kinds of comedies are super popular right now. A mid-budget comedy that plays everywhere in theaters, which is a shame. Right now, those movies are being made and kind of just going to streamers. I'd like to see more in the theater. Yeah, it's kind of out of fashion right now. That's cyclical. That'll come back. That just kind of ebbs and flows sort of in general. But yeah, I just, I didn't really love this movie. So I'm going to say that it does not stand the test of time. What do you think, James?
I think you summarized it perfect in the phrase you said, I wish it was a little bit better. The jokes don't quite land. If you didn't have Bill Murray, I think there'd be a lot fewer laughs in this film. Woody Harrelson's a very good actor, and he does comedy well. I mean, the guy's from Cheers. But I don't think he's particularly great in the film. I think he does exactly what he's supposed to do. I just don't think the character is particularly funny. I said it before, I think Vanessa Angel is really good in this film. Randy Quaid's fine. It's not the movie that I wish it was. There's a line that I thought was kind of funny, but it a little bit ruins something for me. There's a line in the beginning when Ishmael is saying, oh, he usually bowls like 285, 290, and that's fantastic because, as most people know, the 300 is a perfect game, the best you can get in bowling. Then you later find out that he bowls 15 frames every game.
Right.
And that completely changes things. I mean,
Yeah.
It's like saying you earn $100,000 a year. Oh, good for you. That's a nice job. And you're like, well, it's $100,000 every 18 months, actually. I just call it a year. Like, that's completely different. That's not even close to $100,000 a year. So
Right.
I was wondering how he was so good, just from that line. I mean, seems like the guy should be averaging around 200 a game. Yeah, there's a montage, a training montage that he learns better, but some stuff bothers me there. The Farrelly brothers are not, their track record is a little bit hit and miss.
Sure.
I will also agree with you that it doesn't stand the test of time in that I've come to learn that my definition of that is, would I recommend this film to someone who's not a huge fan of this genre or a completist of this person's catalog or the director or actors? So I don't think it's a great film that you're totally missing out on if you haven't seen. So this film doesn't stand the test of time.
You kind of made me think about it when you brought up the thing about how he bowls 15 frames. Also, at the end, Roy just picks up bowling again using his prosthetic rubber hand, and he gets to the finals. No, he should not be able to do that right away. I'm not saying that he couldn't learn how to bowl with the rubber hand, but I would think that would take time. And it's just a throwaway line that Ishmael says, early in the tournament, you'll get the hang of it and then you'll be fine. Honestly, I thought maybe he was going to bowl with his other hand. I thought that was going to be the thing. But even that's unrealistic, that you would just pick that up instantly after not having bowled for 17 years.
Right. The two things that are wrong with that is even a small mistake in bowling is exponential problems, because if you get a 9 in bowling, that is way different than getting a 10 from a spare or a strike. It's very different if you know how to score.
Nobody knows how to score in bowling.
Well, a strike is 10 plus your next 2 frames. So a strike could be as much as 30 points. But if you get a 5 and a 4, that frame is 9, and that's all it is. Also, the first time he bowls in the tournament, his prosthetic arm comes off and rolls down the lane. It's funny, but that completely disqualifies you. Why should someone be able to have a bowling ball that has 8 inches sticking out of it that can knock off other pins?
Right.
If anyone caught it, it would be completely disqualifying for him.
Of course. But that's going to do it for us this week. Next week, we are going to be talking about another movie where someone can throw a bowling ball impressively, 1999's Mystery Men. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. I'm looking forward to that. In the meantime, we want to hear your thoughts on Kingpin, on bowling, on Woody Harrelson, Bill Murray, Randy Quaid, Vanessa Angel, whatever. We love hearing from you. We are at Test of Time Pod on Facebook, X, Instagram, and Threads. And we'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye.